In the automobile world, Rolls-Royce is placed as one of the most luxurious cars. But little did we know that the founders Frederick Henry Royce and Charles Rolls were two people with opposite fortunes at first. They had quite different backgrounds, but mingled together to produce the best car in the world. In today's video, we will learn about their history, their differences, and how they made their prestigious luxury cars. Let's start with Frederick Henry Royce. Born in 1863 in Alwatton, England, Henry was the youngest of 5 children. The Royce family lived in poverty as their family flour mill business's profits were meager. After his father's passing, Henry began selling newspapers and delivering telegrams. Because of his family's poverty, at the age of 15, Henry had only completed 1 year of formal school. Then, young Henry started an apprenticeship with the Great Northern Railway Company himself to study in his free time. He latched on to the study of algebra, French, and electrical engineering. After 3 years, he had stopped the apprenticeship because of lack of money. He briefly worked in a tool-making company in Leeds before returning to London and joining the Electric Light and Power Company. In 1882, he was moved to the company's office in Liverpool to work on street and theatre lighting. With only £20 of saving and a passion for engineering, he started a company partnering with Ernest Claremont, who contributed £50 to make electrical components such as doorbells and dynamos. The company, named F.H. Royce & Company, was located on Cook Street in Manchester. By 1894, the company was registered as a limited liability company and also started to make electric cranes. 5 years later, the company was re-registered as Royce Limited, with a public share flotation. Now, before we go further with Royce's story, let's take a look at Rolls's story. Charles Stuart Rolls was born in 1877 in London. Unlike Henry Royce, Charles Rolls was born into a wealthy family. He was educated at the Mortimer Vicarage Preparatory School in Berkshire and later at Eton College. At the age of 17, he attended a private school in Cambridge, which helped him gain his entry to Trinity College a year later. He studied mechanical and applied science, and at the age of 18, he already bought his first car, a Peugeot Phaeton. He traveled to Paris to buy the car. He also joined the Automobile Club of France. Rolls's car is believed to be one of the first cars in Cambridge and one of the first 3 cars owned in Wales. Other than being a machine enthusiast, Rolls was also very keen on cycling. In 1896, he won a Half Blue, an award for sporting colors in bicycle racing, and became the captain of the Cambridge University Bicycle Club. After graduating, he began to work on a steam yacht, then followed that with work at London and Northern Western Railway in crew. He was more interested in motoring pioneering and also in salesmanship. In January of 1903, with £6,000 of support from his father, he started one of Britain's first car dealerships in Fulham, named C.S. Rolls & Company. For the next few years, he dedicated to import Peugeot from France and Minerva from Belgium. As his business surged, Charles used his money to fund other hobbies as an aviator. Yes, Charles's hobbies weren't cheap at all. Around this time, this contrasting duo met. After competitors from the US and Germany arrived, Henry began to also consider making cars. First, he bought a small D. Dion in 1901, and a year later, he bought a Deauville, a second-hand, 2-cylinder car. Henry had a distinctive desire for perfection, and these cars didn't meet his standards, so he tried to improve them. He decided to manufacture his own cars in the corner of his workshop. After this, he made 2 more cars, which he named Royce. One was given to Ernest Claremont, the other sold to one of his shareholders. Henry Edmunds was also a friend of Charles Rolls. After buying Royce's car, Edmunds began to boast about it to Rolls. At the time, Rolls was frustrated as he was only able to sell imported cars from his company. Edmund, knowing the situation, arranged a meeting between Rolls and Royce at Manchester in 1904. At the meeting, even Rolls always preferred the 3- and 4-cylinder cars. Royce's 2-cylinder cars captivated him. A few months after their first meeting, Rolls agreed to sell cars that Royce would make. These would include that would be named Rolls-Royce. Their first car, the Rolls-Royce 10 horsepower, was introduced at the Paris Salon in December of 1904. 2 years later, they formalized the partnership by creating Rolls-Royce Limited. Charles Rolls was appointed the technical managing director, and Henry Royce was appointed as chief engineer and works director. Rolls provided the financial backing and business acumen, while Royce provided the technical expertise. In 1906, Royce had been developing an improved 6-cylinder model. The first new Rolls-Royce model was designated with a 40 or 50 horsepower engine and was known as the Silver Ghost. A year later, it was hailed as the best car in the world. The company was also winning awards for engineering reliability of its cars. This duo, as mentioned earlier, had many contrasts to each other. The age gap, for example, Royce was already 41 years old when he first met Charles Rolls, a 26-year-old. Their background education had a huge gap as well. Rolls was in prestigious college and had excellent education, while Royce was mostly self-taught. Despite their differences, their interest in cars and engineering put them side by side and made them renowned for their luxurious cars. A few years after he met Royce and made the best car in the world, Rolls' interest in business was waning, unlike his passion in aviation. He decided to resign from his position as technical managing director and became a non-executive director. In 1907, Charles's passion in aviation was increasing and asked Henry to design an aero engine, but Henry refused. Charles continued his passion and bought an aircraft built by the Short brothers under a license from the Wright brothers. He soon made more than 200 flights and was the first person to make a non-stop double crossing of the English Channel. The flight took 95 minutes, and Charles was awarded the gold medal by the Royal Aero Club. Sadly, this passion of his was also the cause of his early death. 1 month after the historical flight across the English Channel, Charles was killed in an air crash at Hawkesbury Airfield in Bournemouth. The tail of his aircraft broke during a flying display. At the age of 32, Charles became the first Briton to be killed in a powered aircraft crash. The early death of Charles Rolls meant the end of the Rolls-Royce partnership, but Henry Royce had continued his legacy and built the best car in the world. Henry, known for his hard work and detail-oriented ethic, was also renowned as a worker who never ate properly. This resulted in him being ill in 1902, and then again in 1911, and eventually ending up with a major operation in 1912. Despite this illness, Henry Royce still worked until his death. In 1931, Rolls-Royce Limited bought their rival firm, Bentley. The Bentley radiator somehow fitted into their engine. With an open four-seated body design, they brought the car to get Henry's approval for continuation. Henry was anxious at first, but he gave his blessing. The night before his death, he sat up in bed and drew a sketch on the back of an envelope. He died before the sketch made it to their workshop in Derby, but then, once it did, the same year of his death, the first Bentley car made by Rolls-Royce Limited made its appearance. Henry Royce once said, "Strive for perfection in everything you do. Take the best that exists and make it better. When it does not exist, design it." And with that saying, Rolls-Royce still remains one of the most luxurious cars in the world that money can buy. Have you ever heard a story that contrasts two people like these? What lessons might you take away from Henry Royce and Charles Rolls' story? If you do have any other stories that you'd like to share, or a different story that you'd like to highlight, please put it in the comment section below. And don't forget to like and subscribe.